Am no, just 38 minutes late to the start time that I initially indicated for this recording, this broadcast. My apologies. It is Saturday, so I kind of feel like y'all get it. Plus, this is essentially recording content for a podcast, an audio podcast I'm going to put out. Of course, I want to do the video aspect because I've got a microphone, I've got the webcam, my hair looks cool, I think anyway. But that's what brought me here. And plus, I want to see where this goes. Maybe this becomes a thing where people ask questions. I don't know. Maybe literally nobody sees this video, but hey, it's going to my YouTube, so it's good. And it's going to Twitch, and it is going to LinkedIn. We'll see how this goes. Also, in full testing mode. Which, by the way, I'm just totally checking out my background on my monitor there, and you can actually see on the screen the difference between the colors that I'm trying to get. So if you look here at my little logo, it's purple. That's not purple. That's more of a blue. So this is an old TV behind me. I might need to tweak. It looks purple to me here. Something. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty casual. I am using Restream for this broadcast. I thought about maybe trying to push out via Riverside FM next time, see if there's any difference. Because again, really, my intent with this is to take whatever I put out here, edit into an audio recording, and release as a podcast. But the video is good too. So always open to y'all's thoughts. Let me know what you think. So let me talk a bit about marketing XP. So I'm a video gamer. I've played video games since I was a wee baby. I remember playing Defender on Atari. Oh my gosh, I'm very old, by the way. Probably old to many of you who might be watching this. I'm 48. I'll be turning 49 in December. But since I was wee and little, I have a Scottish background, so I've been using wee lately, which maybe, some people think that means pee, so I don't know. But ever since I was a little lass, I would play Defender on Atari, and I had a little Atari console, little game cartridges. Actually, stand by. I just took out one of my pop vinyls, or my Funko Pops. This is not the actual cartridge, but I saw this at a Goodwill. I had to have it. It is a Defender Atari cartridge, and I did purchase it because again, that is the first video game I ever played, and I am a gamer. So I've come from playing Defender on Atari to current day. I fortunately live in a household where we're all very gamey. Um, we play games. We have a PS5, we have a PS4, we have a Xbox 3, we have an Xbox X series, and then we have an Xbox 360, we have the Switch, and all those things. And of course, we have laptops people play video games on. But this represents me, my origin. But yeah, I've been a gamer for a long, long time. My favorite game of all time is Mass Effect. Probably Mass Effect 2 for getting really specific. I thought about revisiting Andromeda, but that may or may not happen. But I'm a gamer. And, in games, you tend to have something called XP where you can level up, as you go through missions and quests, go through actions, you gain XP. You get to increase your standing, unlock levels, unlock sometimes skins, weapons, additional levels, and things like that. So you gain XP. And you do all this because you're trying to win the game. You're trying to beat the boss levels and stuff like that. So I also am a marketing veteran. I've been in marketing for 15 years. Prior to that, I was in office administration and management for 20. Like I said, I'm old. Turning 49 this December. So I was like, you know what? I'm at the point in my career where I'm basically trying to educate people, marketers I work with, whether they work for me or by proxy, their colleagues, their peers, whatever. Just educating people that there are some essentials of marketing all of us should be doing. And when we're not doing them, I want them to be done. You know, I think we can all relate to if you are working in marketing and you are any kind of veteran, or even if you're a newbie, you might see things around you that you're like, oh my God, why aren't you doing that? That's what this podcast is for. I thought, you know what? I've been in this 15 years. I love games. I'm going to turn this into something that correlates to gaming lingo. So, for those of you who might be watching via Twitch, that's why I'm here. For those of you watching via YouTube or LinkedIn, whether you game or not, this will be helpful. And I'll point this out as well. The goal of this is I'm going to be recording for audio podcasts, but I'm also going to be providing something called power ups on my website. Let me go ahead and pop that in there on the ticker below. So essentially, my website is But Wait, There's More, as in MOORE, because that's my last name. But on that website, butwaitthere'smore.com/marketingXP, I will be putting the audio podcast there, but there's also a section for power ups. And what I'm going to be doing is basically giving y'all a slide. And when I say give, I am going to do a couple that are free, but for $1, $1 per slide, you can get a slide that is essentially executive ready and can help you educate people in your brand or your business or your clients even about one particular tactic in marketing that we all should be doing. It'll make you look smarter. It'll gain XP for you in your career, in your credibility. So that's what those are. So go ahead and visit there if you are inclined. But all that said, I should get going with actually recording these 3 episodes. So I'm going to be recording 3 episodes here. Obviously, we'll edit later. If anyone does skate in and you start watching and want to ask anything or comment or whatever, I'll see those. But I'll have something to use for this for anyway, because like I said, one of the topics I am going to cover in the future is repurposing your content. I'm excited about this too, because I actually have I have 47 different topics in marketing. Like I came up with those like within a half hour and I keep adding to it, but there's a lot. I have a year's worth of weekly podcasts almost. So should be fun. All right. So all that. I see you, Vincent. Thank you. Had to click into this after seeing the title. That was the intent. I know you're shocked. Let's get into it then, because I'm about to record these 3 episodes in succession. And the first one is titled Smelling Our Own Farts. So let's get into it. And I'm, of course, going to treat this as if it's a podcast, an audio podcast. So hang tight with me. Let's roll. Welcome to Marketing XP. This current power up, this first episode of Marketing XP podcast, is going to be smelling our own farts. Now, before I get into what exactly that means, brief intro on me. I am Rachel Moore, your host, 15 years in marketing, 20 in office administration. And I'm a gamer, lifelong gamer since I was a wee lass, about 3 or 4 years old. So this is the Marketing XP I'm bringing you. And today we are kicking this off with smelling our own farts. Now, some of you may be asking, okay, I'm sorry, say what? What are you talking about with smelling our own farts? So for those of you who watch South Park, you may recognize this reference. There was an episode of South Park that was around electric vehicles and how people would buy an electric vehicle and suddenly they became very pious. And they named the electric vehicle in South Park the Pious rather than what we all know as the Prius. But essentially, it turned every owner into someone who was very into themselves. They felt very good about themselves. You know, I'm helping the environment, and I'm not going to get into the ifs, ands, whys, or buts about how much or not electric vehicles actually help the environment. That's not this podcast. But they started smelling their own farts in the episode. They would go, they'd fart, and then they just take a nice whiff in and just like, that smells good. Gross, right? We're all doing it. Marketers, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to myself. We smell our own farts. And if you're grossed out by that notion, listen on. We will come up with messaging and marketing materials, content, collateral, and we are so stoked on it. We're like, oh my gosh, I've made something truly amazing. It's creative, it's compelling. Certainly people are going to love it. I just assume that everybody's like me and is going to rave about it and just love that I put this into the world. You are smelling your own fart at that point. Now, I'm going to dig into this. I want you to think about one relationship in your life. someone, it could be a partner, it could be a child, it could be a lifelong friend, a colleague, a peer, anything like that. Now, we are all humans, and this relates to having to see this person in real life. Okay, so we all have at least one, hopefully, relationship in our life where we're like, oh my gosh, this person is an asset, an advantage to my life. Except there's always going to be something about that person that is distasteful, that kind of drives you crazy, or, let's just imagine they have really bad smelling farts. Okay. You love having them in your life, except you have to overcome that aspect of who they are. So let's use smelly farts as an example. You love somebody, but my gosh, when they let one go, it's really like it makes you kind of want to dry heave. But because of everything else that that person brings into your microcosm of life, you put up with it. You tolerate the fart, the smelly fart. So when it comes to marketing, we're talking about relationship, okay? It is not about broadcasting out, blasting a message like a billboard that goes one way. It is, in this day and age, marketing is very relational. It's a back and forth. Now, I'm going to get back to when you're putting out your messaging and your content, you're thrilled about it. You're like, oh my God, so amazing. Everybody's going to love it. I'm totally like going to put it in my portfolio because it's beautiful. That does not matter, because if you put it out there and literally nobody reacts to it, I might experience that with this podcast. If I put this out there and I get no listens, no views, no downloads, no people going and getting the power ups on my website, that's going to tell me, oh God, people didn't like my fart. Great. Um, that's what you have to gear up for, is to say, all right, I'm putting this out there. Your job as a marketer is you're going to be putting something into the world. You want an exchange there. You want the audience to do something with your content, whether that's giving you an email address, which is today's currency basically, or buying something on your website, actual monetary currency, or believing something, or just starting to explore through your marketing funnel. You want something from them. You've got to compel that person to put up with your farts. Usually that's going to be the price tag, the opt-in form for getting their email, because now that means they're going to get emails from you, maybe texts. There's always that fart that the person has to overcome, but still want you in their life. And that's what I mean about marketing, and how we need to get out of this awful approach of smelling our own farts. My daughter's grossing out. She's like, "Oh my God." Smelling our own farts. We are our biggest fans of our own content. The people out there are not. They have no reason to think we're awesome unless we compel them and convince them, "Hey, I'm still awesome," or my brand or my product or my service is still awesome and something you need. Just get over the fart part. That's, you giving me something in exchange for being in your life. So that's what we're trying to approach with smelling our own farts. So now I'm going to offer you 3 different ways to get out of the smelling of our own farts. First up, you-centric writing. Now, what I mean with that is stop leading your writing and your content with we. If I see another social media post from a brand that starts with like, we did this, we just released this, we thought, we. Stop that. Stop it right now. By starting off your content with we, you're smelling your own fart. You kicked off with that. You're already in the frame of mind like, well, obviously we're amazing and I need to just keep smelling my own farts. You're totally going to be on board with that. If you would start rather with a you or your or yours in your writing, you can help yourself get out of that mindset and think, okay, I am now not me, I am my audience. Why does this matter to them? Why does what I'm messaging and what I'm producing and publishing, why should they care about this? It's a great way to get out of that me smelling my own farts mindset in marketing and into your audience's brain. And why is this important to them? And that's what we need to think about. And there are a lot, you're going to see this as a recurring theme in a lot of these episodes. But put it this way. Do you walk up to people at your local coffee shop or tea shop and, you see a stranger and you walk up and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so awesome. I came up with this new product or service and you'll love it." Of course you don't. Nobody does that. You would never do that. You're going to ease into the conversation and start, trying to learn about, okay, is this person even like in the market for what I would be doing? But you learn about them first. It's them first. Okay. And I promise you, if you fart in front of that stranger, they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm moving away. Right. Versus if you develop a relationship first and then you do fart and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to put up with that. But I like what they're saying or what they're bringing into my life. The second tactic you can do is develop a hero story. So this comes into messaging and marketing, particularly as you're coming up with ICPs or ideal customer personas. You will also hear me often break down a lot of these acronyms, and I have a whole episode dedicated to that coming up. I want to remind you of this. When you think about your customer's experience, you, dear marketer, me, marketer, we are not the hero in that story. Our customer is the hero. Duarte, Duarte, has great resources for this on how to really suss out your ideal customer personas, who they are, what they worry about. But that's why we want to get into that. And I want to give a shout out to a former boss of mine, Lisa Leary Perez. You can find her on LinkedIn. She's one of my prior marketing bosses. She really drove this home with me. When she first hired me, she does this with all her new hires. She basically will craft a hero story for you, the new hire. You're the hero in your story of your career. She's not the hero as my boss. She is someone who is a guide or a sage to be like, let me help you accomplish your mission and win your mission and the goal. And that's what we need to do as marketers. We are not the hero of this story. We don't come to the rescue or anything. Our customer is on a mission, on a quest. And this again boils right back down to video games. I mentioned when I was introing this that my favorite game of all time is Mass Effect. Commander Shepard is the hero in that game. It's not the Alliance. It's not the Normandy ship. It's her or him, based on who you want to play as. They have to accomplish a mission. Everything else coming in there, the Normandy can be a guide to that. The Alliance can help them, but they're not the hero. Commander Shepard is, and your customer is the hero in their experience with you, not you. You essentially are guiding them toward, like, hey, you're kind of like Gandalf to Bilbo. And again, I'm referencing, giving credit to Liesl on that because that's how she played it with me. Just think about whatever your favorite fictional story, a book, a character in a movie or a video game. They need to win and accomplish something. They're the hero, and our job as a marketer is to be a guide or a sage, and that's it. So be the guide, be the sage. Don't try to be the hero in your customer's experience with you. And finally, a really great way to get out of smelling our own farts in marketing are surveys. Before you even start trying to market to an audience, you and I and all humans in marketing are going to default to how we feel or think because that's just what humans do. It's what we do. And we're going to guess how people respond to our message. I can guess how people are going to respond to this podcast. Stop guessing. Put together a survey, a free Google form. You can do this with a Gmail account for free, or use the free version of SurveyMonkey. Again, just register with an email address, or any other platform that lets you publish a form that's a link available to the general public. Just ask some simple questions. What do you think? What's your problem? What's your pain point? What keeps you up at night right now? What's giving you anxiety? And you can learn that stuff from them and let that inform your marketing message. And again, stop smelling your own farts. Okay. That is the whole crux of this episode. I hope that you've heard these and gotten some good insights here, some things you can start practicing today to stop smelling your own farts in marketing. I would love to hear of more that you might have. Again, if you go visit, but wait, there's more, moore.com/marketingXP. You can leave comments on that page and tell me what are your ways to stop smelling your own farts in your marketing and get out of the brain of your how amazing you are and into your customer's brain. Now, what I also like to do on these is a tool tip. So I like to share tools. Tools are the marketer's tool belt. I'm going to try that again. Like I said, I'm recording this. We have all kinds of tools in our tool belt. I'm also wearing Invisaligns, everybody, so that's been fun. We all have tools in our tool belt as marketers, and I promise you they make our lives easier. I'm one of those people who tends to just spin and wallow in like, oh my God, what's the best tool to use? I need to evaluate all of them. One of my favorite tools, and so when I recommend a tool to you, know it's coming from my heart because I'm like, oh no, this is I can't live without this one. ClickUp. There are a ton of different task and project management tools out there. I love ClickUp. I use ClickUp. I use the free version. I'm using it right now. I'm reading off of a task where I kind of drafted out. I've got a list of my podcast topics in there. I draft out the bullets I want to tackle in that podcast episode, and it's all right there. So, and then I can arrange them. I can put due dates. I can add fields and export, and it's just super cool. So, ClickUp is my favorite. ClickUp.com. I probably have an affiliate like link somewhere I might drop in the show notes. But that's my tool tip. That's it for this first episode of Marketing XP podcast. And again, our topic was smelling our own farts. I'm going to bring you more episodes that have pretty witty, quippy titles in them, but always will bring you something super basic, but super relevant for your marketing. And of course, everything through the lens of fun. So thank you all for listening. Follow and subscribe wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. And do feel free to find and follow me online. Rachel has the mic everywhere. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for listening. Okay, I recorded that first one. If any of you happen to be watching and have any thoughts, if you're like, okay, that was weird or that was good or whatever, let me know. So just recorded that one. Let us move into the next episode. My nose is running and I think I'm out of tissues. I am out of tissues. See, I'm not, and I promise I'm not farting while I'm doing that. I'm just literally trying to like not have my nose drip on the screen. I think next time somebody skates into here, I might ask them for a tissue. All right, so I'm going to record the next one. Again, I can see if any of y'all have comments and things like that, please feel free to drop them in and I'll see them. And since I can edit this out later, I can totally still reply to you and everything like that. Maybe this will be a Patreon aspect too, where people can actually see what people are doing. Okay. Actually, I wasn't going to do that one. I'm going to do this other one. Here we go. All right. It's time for another Marketing XP episode. I am your host, Rachel Moore. Today, we're going to talk about how to build your house party, aka your website. And I'm not going to dig into all the ways to build your whole website. What I am going to touch on are the three components, the essential components of a website. Now, I put this into an analogy for myself to understand how it all works. So for those of you who have or run or want to run your own website or are going to be responsible for it in any way, there's some building blocks to a website that every one of us should know. So here we go. There are three things you really need for a website to work, to function. You need hosting. You need a CMS platform, content marketing system platform, and you need a domain. Now, here's how this breaks down. I want you to think about, and whether you are in an apartment building or in a home or some kind of structure where you live, there are some aspects to that property that really correlate to a website. So the first one would be the plot of land, and that we're going to call the hosting of a website. So if you're thinking about a plot of land upon which a structure sits, and I'm not even talking about landscaping, I'm like talking about the bare minimum dirt of a plot of land. So there is some actual real estate that you have and can use. That equates to the hosting of a website. Essentially, you're saving space for yourself out in the great wild, World Wide Web. And that's where your website is going to be and kind of occupy some space. Now, there's nothing there. There's just dirt, right? So nobody has any reason. I mean, think about when you drive down any street and you're like, oh, there's, an empty lot, just dirt. There's no signs or anything. You hardly look at it. And you don't even know like what the address is or anything. It just literally is dirt. So there's no reason for people to like, ooh, let me pull up and really check out this dirt, unless you're like a archaeologist or something like that. So that is hosting. It is a plot of land. So now you've got hosting. So next you need to actually build content. And I'm going to pause there. Thanks, Alan White. Clickbait level 9,000 at work. Thank you. I I'm recording here. I already recorded the smelling our own farts episode of the podcast, so I'm now in episode 2. But thank you, Alan, for mentioning that. I'm actually, that's the whole point. I figure I'm like, I need to get really basic and bare bones about this, and it's how I feel about marketing. So, plus, I just like to be funny. So, back to the websites. So, you've got hosting, you've got your lot of land. Okay, so there's some space reserved for you. Next, you need to think about, okay, great. Now I'm actually going to build the house or build the property up into something I can live in. Okay. So this can include landscaping. It includes the foundation of the structure. It includes the walls, the floors. Gosh, I had a bunch here too. The windows, the roof, the landscaping, the driveway, the welcome mat. Everything you can see from outside of a house. It's like, ooh, and y'all know these. Maybe you love your own apartment building or home, or you see one in the neighborhood and you're like, oh, that's just a gorgeous house. Think about that like a website. Like, man, that is a pretty website. I like it. So there's all that stuff on the outside that compels people to be like, ooh, I like it. It's pretty. But then there's the interior. That is also your content marketing system. All of this is the home. What people can see and interact with in your house or on your website is all of these things. They can open the door, they can walk up the steps, open the door, cross the welcome mat, cross the threshold, get into your interior rooms. They see paint or wallpaper on the walls, rugs, carpet, or hardwood floors or tile, so that it's all the things they interact with. There are bathroom fixtures they might need to fiddle with or lighting fixtures. So all of that, all of the stuff that you built up from the ground, the very dirt foundation of your plot of land, that is your hosting of your website, all of that stuff you built up as the structure is your content marketing system. This, again, it's the stuff that your people on your website can click on, they can read, they can see, they can play, they can enter a form, all of those things. That's your content marketing system. Finally, for the third component of your website is your domain, your address. So again, think about real life, right? If you get invited somewhere or there's a restaurant or some attraction you want to go visit, you're going to put that into a mapping program, an app, your favorite app, and you're going to like say, how am I going to get there? To get there, you need the address. Now, you could use landmarks that are like, oh, it's kind of over here. It's right off of the corner of Broadway and Oxford or something like that. And you could find it. But what you want to do in any good marketer, you give people a specific place to go. Your domain is your website address. That is the exact place you can tell people to type into a browser. They will come visit your house or your website that you have built up. So those are the 3 components you need for a website. Hosting is the plot of land, the dirt, the real estate. CMS, a content marketing system that builds up the house and the structure and all the ways that your visitors, people that visit your house party, can interact with it. But of course, the domain, you need the address so that people know how to find your house party, how to go, how do I get there? How long is it going to take me to get there? Is it easy to find? So 3 tips for when you are either creating, building, or maintaining a website. I'm going to take it from if you're going to create one. You need to grab your domain. Now, I know we talked about kind of from the ground up. So there's the lot level, the ground, the hosting. You build up the structure, it's the content marketing system, and then you need a domain and address. That's the actual like numbers and street address of your house or your website. But before you do all that, you got to grab your domain. You need to reserve that. Now, domains, if you've ever tried to buy a domain, their internet's been around for a bit. So sometimes it's kind of hard to find the exact domain you need. You need to settle on what that's going to be for your business. Okay. You can go on pretty much any kind of website. GoDaddy is a really popular one, but there's all kinds of them that you can go out there and buy a domain, search for a domain, what's available. I want you to consider as well, my origin story in marketing is in social media. You always want to try to as much as possible, to be able to marry up whatever your domain name is, marry it up to your brand name, so it's as similar as possible, but also can be used as a handle on multiple social media platforms. You want that to be as consistent as possible, so you make it just a lot easier when it's the same word or the same phrase. Okay. But yes, you need the domain first. You can buy just about on any service. Based on how unique the domain might be, it might cost you a little bit more. Usually domains are pretty affordable. And you may want to think about not only buying the .com, but also a .net or a .info or .biz or anything where it could be an alternative where what if somebody else buys that other version of the domain and you don't want people to get confused. My good friend Phil Gerbishek advised a while back. He's like, it's always a good practice if you have an idea for a website or a brand, buy the domain, and don't set it to auto renew yet, but buy it for 2 years worth. And then after 2 years, you haven't done anything with that. Go back in and you can say, okay, I'm going to buy one more year and give yourself time to flesh it out. And if you still haven't done anything with that domain, you probably need to let it go after 3 years because you're just not going to get to it. Okay. If you're part of a brand that is going to be have longevity, like a startup, and you want this to exist forever, buy as much as you can. 5 years worth, set it to auto renew. You don't ever want to lose your domain because if you do, suddenly nobody can get to your website. Okay. So grab your domain first. Then you need to settle on what your CMS or content marketing system is going to be. Now, there are a ton out there. WordPress is a very well-known one. I don't know if it's necessarily the most popular anymore. I'm certainly familiar with it, but we also have stuff like Webflow. You got Squarespace and other things like that out there where they really make it easy for a novice or someone who is not a web developer to go in and start building out a very pretty, serviceable website. You could opt to hire a web developer. These are people who are going to be super well versed in HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, or CSS, that stands for Cascading Style Sheets. That kind of coding that really, when somebody knows how to code that stuff, they can make your website just do epic things beyond the scope of a normal CMS capability. So think about that. How complex, custom do you need your website? If you can just kind of go with an out of the box stuff and build on it with plugins and things, you can certainly use a CMS platform. But if you want to get a little more intricate, hire a web developer and pay them well because they know how to do things you don't know how to do. What is the joke? The quote by Joker: "If you're good at something, never do it for free. You should always compensate people for the value they add to you." I know I just got on a soapbox there. Finally, for hosting, that's where all the data and the files of your content structure and your the content within it is going to have to be stored. And there are a lot of hosting platforms that can do that for you. IONOS, HostGator, Bluehost, GoDaddy. I use SiteGround. I just find it's, usually these hosting sites will make it super easy for you to not only manage the intricacies and the coding and the settings of your website, but also oftentimes they offer ways for you to update your website and things like that. With that, I'm going to segue to the power up portion or the tool that I want to recommend for this week. That is SiteGround. I am going to give them a shout out. So I've used SiteGround a few different times for some websites that I build. And I'm going to raise my hand right here. I don't know how to code a whole lot. I've got some super basic ability in HTML, but usually it's because I'm going and looking it up saying, okay, how do I do HTML code for this that I want to do? SiteGround is amazing because I had to actually migrate recently my old website, really.social, into my new website, but wait, there's more.com. And I was going so far, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm not doing it right. So I put a ticket in and they, like, within 24 hours had fixed whatever the problem was. And I was like, oh, they made it possible for me to get that site migrated over. And I really should have had them do that sooner because I probably spent a good 30 hours trying to do it myself. And again, I'm worth about $75 an hour or more. I'm like, I could have just paid them the $30 to just fix it. And they fixed it within an hour. What a waste. So I say that as a disclaimer for myself, self-deprecating, but also to say, wow, they really came through for me. So siteground.com, SiteGround, if you want me to enunciate that. But I really recommend them as a great tool for your web hosting. And with that, everybody, that is this episode of Marketing XP Podcast. Please follow us, and subscribe to us on wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Leave a review because that tells me, hey, you're my audience. It's going to be the data I need to tell me if, like, oh my God, you're smelling your own fart. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you actually are thinking about what I need. And if you're wondering where that reference came from, visit the kickoff episode. So thanks, everybody. And we'll be back next time with another episode of Marketing XP. Get your game on. All right, that was recording 2. I'm going to do one more. I'm trying to only do these in sets of 3 because after a while my voice gets tired and probably the audience does too. All right, actually, and I'm going to take a moment to go to my YouTube channel and kind of see what's happening over there. So I am broadcasting this out to LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. Twitch was a no-brainer because I am a gamer and I'm talking about gaming and things like that. Let me just go get in my studio and see what it's doing. Y'all can check this with me. How are y'all doing? I see one person watching, and I'm not sure who that might be. But I'm keen to see whoever that is. Can I go to my studio? It's interesting using Restream, which I am using Restream for this. Yeah. So okay, cool. And but what's fun about this too, I am starting a new YouTube channel. I really wish YouTube would let you make it easier for you to change a channel name and stuff. They don't. And so I have an old channel called Really Social Solutions. Y'all, I really big reason why I migrated over to But Wait, There's More is because I want it to be more about marketing full ecosystem rather than just social media, because that's how I've evolved. And Really Social Solutions really is for social media only. And I'm like, there's just so much more to it. Now, again, recognition to social media, it really is a perfect microcosm of marketing as a whole. I mean, it has everything that marketing should do. But I needed to be able to do more. So, okay, so now I see my YouTube. Let me go to Twitch and see what that's showing. It's been a minute since I've broadcast to Twitch. But I do really like Twitch. There we go. It's live. Excellent. Nobody's watching. Oh, I've got one viewer on Twitch, unless that's me now because I just logged in. Probably. And let me just go over to LinkedIn and see what that's doing. You know what I thought about I should have done? Alan, I do love your comment about clickbait. Yes, but I had good stuff to offer to that. To make it actual. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, now I see, always nice to kind of make sure everything's working out there. So the screenshot, by the way, the thumbnail on Marketing XP, I look drunk, like I'm going, "Mah." So that's pretty fun. All right. Well, let's do the third one here. Again, if anyone is skating in and has questions or comments, I will address them. I get to edit this later, obviously, into the audio version, but feel free. But let me open the next one. All right, this is one I have major passion about. Prepare thyself. Prepare thy loins. I'm not going to do anything with your loins. All right. Let me take some water. My nose stopped running if anyone cares. I like this way better. I like doing casual where it's like, hey, there's just me. It's not like a corporate-ish kind of thing. All right, let's kick off with the next episode of Marketing XP. Welcome back to a new Marketing XP episode. I am your host, Rachel Moore, 15 years in marketing, and this topic still gets me fired up. We're talking about alt text. That's right. Alt text is sexy. It's sexy marketing. I stand by it, and I know others do too, but not enough of us. And that is why I've made this a topic. So let me dig into what exactly alt text is. And I want to preface this too. I'm not the only resource on this. In fact, I'm going to point you in a really great, solid direction to get better at this. But look at it this way. So I want you to think about when you've gotten an email or have tried to load a web page and you can tell there's an image that's supposed to appear, but for some reason it did not download. It didn't load onto your screen. And you see that little broken image icon. Now, if the stars have aligned, you should also see a description in text of what that image showed. Too often, we don't see that. And the reason we don't see that is because the sender or publisher of that image did not add this thing called alt text. So essentially what alt text is this. It is a description, hopefully a very thorough one, of the image that is trying to be displayed. And here's why it's important. Not only for the experience I just described, most people or a lot of people have, where it just didn't load correctly and they can't see the image through whatever their email platform wouldn't show it or the website browser wouldn't show it or anything like that. You didn't see the image. But what this is primarily used for is for people who use screen readers. Now, there are individuals out there who digest the internet and they may have visual challenges. For whatever reason. They are not able to clearly or at all see visuals on a screen, images particularly. And so what they do is they use a screen reader. The screen reader will actually assist that person by reading out to them what their screen is displaying. When it gets to an image, the screen reader knows it's like, well, the person can't see this image. What is here that will let me describe the image to them? It's going to look for alt text. And if it doesn't see it, it's just going to keep going. Hence, that image just totally got missed by the person because their screen reader was like, moving on, there's nothing here. When alt text is present, the screen reader will describe the image and the visual to the person. Now, this is important because I'm betting those of us who in marketing, we are publishing images, preparing visuals, we do that with intent. We are trying to create a package of content. We're trying to elicit a response. It's helping our message. Why would you not then want that person to get as much of your message as possible through the use of alt text? Drives me absolutely bonkers. And this is something where I think marketers, we say one thing, but we don't walk the talk. Sure, you've all heard the phrase, we're trying to reach everyone, or everyone is our potential audience. Great. Well, are you? Are you really trying to reach everyone? Because I'll tell you right now, if you are not adding alt text to your images wherever you're publishing them, you're not really trying to reach everyone. You can dial that back. That is not your actual intent. What you can do is actually try to reach everyone by removing all the obstacles that are in play that could keep that person from understanding your content and your message, whatever you're saying or trying to show to them. So, alt text is vital. I want all of you listening to this, please just make this internal commitment to yourselves and to me and to your audience, wherever you might be trying to send messaging through your marketing. Add alt text to the images. You can do this in social media apps, most of them. You can do this in just about any, one of our prior episodes talked about website content, your content marketing system or CMS. They will foster the ability to add alt text to your images. SharePoint, intranet programs will let you do this. Anywhere you can, even PowerPoint, y'all. PowerPoint will let you add alt text to images you use. In fact, if you try to import an image through online images on PowerPoint, it's going to come with alt text. So here are 3 tips for when you are adding alt text to your images. And I shouldn't say when you are, I should say you are going to add alt text, right? Pinky swear between me and everyone watching. We're going to do this from here on out if you haven't been doing it. First, the blindfold test. So as you add alt text to an image, and again, this is you. I want you to put your best fictional writer hat on because it's basically you. You have to pretend like you have somebody next to you who is blindfolded. You can see the image, they can't see the image, and your task is to describe the image to them. Now, let's imagine you're seeing a meme. This is a well-known meme of Sean Bean playing Boromir from Lord of the Rings, where he's doing that little kind of holding, clutching, pinching his fingers together and saying, one does not simply fill in the blank, something, something dark side here. So we all know that meme. And if you don't, it's out there and you should certainly use it. Lord of the Rings is eternal as far as I'm concerned. Let's say it's that meme. You should not be describing that meme to the blindfolded person next to you as Sean Bean meme. That tells me nothing. What if the person's never seen the meme? Who's Sean Bean? I don't know what you're referring to here. That hopefully is the most simplistic translation of what somebody might add as alt text. Instead, what you need to do is to describe the image fully. So let's imagine again, you do see a Sean Bean meme that says, one does not simply ignore alt text in images. Okay. So I'm going to describe that to a blindfolded person. I'm like, okay, so there is a man with long hair and a beard. The actor is Bean, and he's playing Boromir from Lord of the Rings. So he looks like a warrior, and he's holding his fingers together and has a disbelief expression on his face. And the tech caption reads, one does not simply ignore alt text in images. So that got super descriptive, but at least it's better than Sean Bean meme. But please think about that. You are trying to, this image is part of your message. You should really make sure the person who's you want the message to be received by can understand the whole thing. Okay. So it takes practice. Give it a try. I kind of like imagine like, ooh, if I was ever going to be a fiction writer, this is my chance. I try to put that hat on when I'm writing alt text for images. So just some advice there. Second point, if you're posting images for a brand, one way to save your time on this, because it's going to take some effort and time. You could craft a kind of template alt text that you could use, chances are you're probably using some templates in your brand to kind of maybe cycle in the different imagery in there, but there's overlays and things like that. You can create a template for yourself and then just fill in, okay, well, now this is a different image, particularly if you're using stock images, right? But you can, at least have something in there so it's a quick customization, and then pop that alt text into the field provided to you. So that can be a time saver for you. You should feel okay about including your brand name, particularly if you're putting your logo anywhere on that image. Of course, you should mention your name. These alt text can be indexed by search engine bots, but remember, your primary goal here is understandability, not SEO it's not search engine optimization necessarily. Lastly, you are going to encounter, whether it's a social app or some kind of feature or platform out there that may not obviously offer the option of putting alt text on your image. If you can't find that feature, you can and should still provide the alt text. You can put it either right above or right below the picture, add it as kind of a caption in italics if you want, something that a screen reader can still refer to when it is reading out that page to your audience. So make it happen, even if you're not given the means to. Alt text is super important, and it's something every marketer should be doing for your images. Finally, for today's tool recommendation on this episode of Marketing XP, I'm going to direct you all to a very helpful website, and it's completely free. Alexa Heinrich is well known in the social media circles. She runs an account called Sippin' Social Tea, but she's also a huge advocate and educator about accessibility in content marketing. So go visit her website. It's accessible-social.com. And if you visit it, you will find all kinds of tools in there. There's advice, not just on alt text, but on other ways to make sure that you truly are marketing your message to everyone possible, because you're making it as accessible and easy to absorb. So excellent tool out there. Bookmark it when you get to it. You'll refer back to it repeatedly. And please, as you learn how to create accessible content in your marketing, spread the word. Not enough people do it. All of us encounter these images too often that have no alt text on them. And then there's all these other aspects to accessible marketing as well. Spread the word so that this message can spread. That is today's episode of Marketing XP. Please follow us, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. You can visit us at butwaitthere'smore.com/marketingxp. You can find our power-ups there, basically executive-ready slides that you can use to look smarter to everybody that you work for or with. And plus, it's a great way to save some good call outs from these episodes to say, hey, I need a quick reference. How am I going to do this better? Thank you all for watching and listening. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Marketing XP. And scene. All right. That's all for the recording today. I don't know if anyone's still hanging in there. If you are, wave at me in the chat. And if anyone has questions about anything I just covered, I'm here to answer those for you. As such, with live streams, I'm sure that there might be some residual views and traffic after I wrap this today. My hair's looking really interesting. But after this, I'm going to go edit these into the first set of episodes and get these onto the waves. And at some point, I'll figure out why that looks blue on my screen behind me rather than purple. It's purple in here. It's got to be something. Maybe it's my camera. I don't know. All right. I'm going to call that a wrap today. If you have suggestions for topics I can cover on these, the goal is to make each episode 15 minutes or less, which means I might have some solid editing to do. Though, how far am I into this? I'm 50 minutes in, and I spent about the first 8 minutes on just introing this stuff. So I think I might be standing in, might be having a good chance there. 15 minutes or less, because y'all have time and you don't have much time, but you have a lot of things to do. So if you have a topic you'd like me to cover in a future episode and prepare a Power Up Executive ready slide for that you can find on my website, drop it in the comments. And great to see you all. Hope you had some feelings about this. Let me know. I want to hear that too. And again, when you do hear, I'm going to be sharing the podcast links out and stuff for where you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, things like that. Would love if you'd subscribe and, of course, review it and let me know exactly what you think, because I don't want to be smelling my own farts, everybody. I need to do, what is it? Practice what I preach. Yes, that's what we say. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll do another one of these recording broadcasts in about 3 weeks. Bye, everybody.